right, here it is, my new bike for 2023, the Noli Warden. A lot of you guys, you saw my 27 versus 29 video. You saw me riding the mullet. I asked you guys what you thought, which wheel size I should get. And you know what? A lot of you in that 27.5 camp, you made some good points. With the BMX background, the best kind of background, 27.5 makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna try it out again. I started on 27.5 and I'm back on 27.5. But you know what? I've done a bunch of other crazy things to this bike too. I've got a couple pretty cool parts on it. So let's go through the bike right now. All right, let's start with the frame. I'm happy to say that Noli is again partnering with the channel, and I've been able to go with the Warden for 2023. If you're not familiar with Noli, they basically make the best aluminum frames out there. So this is an all aluminum frame, and yeah, it's great. Super strong, very reliable, designed and tested here on the North Shore, which if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know is not nice to frames. So I'm stoked to have, you know, a bike like this. This is the 168 configuration. You can actually run this in a shorter travel version, but you guys, you know I love my long travel bikes. So I'm running 168 mil in the rear, and I think you can actually up it to 175, which I also might do. And so with this frame, I would say the two biggest things that, well, that matter to me a lot and which I really like are, well, it's made out of aluminum, but not just that, they're definitely really strong. I think if anyone is having trouble with frames or having trouble with bikes, Noli is a great bet. And their 4x linkage in the rear. This suspension feels exactly like I want suspension to feel. It's hard to explain. Maybe one day I'm going to talk to Noel and ask him why it feels so nice. It's on the plusher side, which I really like, and a lot of bikes aren't like that anymore. So, you know, that could just be it. I like that big travel, that plush feeling, tons of traction, and you know what, I guess a bit of a softer ride. And this bike definitely gets that done. So yeah, the Noli Warden. Really stoked to ride this frame for 2023. All right, I gotta give a shout out to my other channel sponsor, Noble Wheels. I'm stoked that they're joining me for 2023 as well. And I'm going with the TR37s again this year. I've had great luck with the TR37s. I think they feel great. I think they look good. And you know what? The best thing about carbon wheels, you know, people are always wondering, you know, should I go with carbon wheels? Like, what are they better for? There's a few, okay, so the major thing, the biggest thing for me is just the lack of maintenance. When I have aluminum wheels, I don't know, maybe it's just I'm heavier or I'm rougher on bikes, but just the spokes are always coming loose, and when they're coming loose, the wheels are getting really flexy and they're easy to get out of true, and I'm denting them and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't worry about that with the Noble wheels. I put them on and then I just forget that they're on and I don't do anything to them. I probably should do like some sort of maintenance, but yeah, for me, I'm the kind of guy who I would like to ignore the bike, but I'd also like the bike to be dialed, and carbon wheels let me do that. So yeah, I'm stoked to have the TR37s. They are a carbon hoop. And for hubs, I decided to go back to the i9 Hydras. I wanted to do purple. Other hubs come in purple, but the thing about the Hydras that I really like is that they're so easy to maintain. I guess, okay, we're finding a theme here. I like things that are really easy to maintain. The Hydra hubs, you know, once the bearings start to go or whatever, it takes like 15 minutes to swap them out. Other hubs, they might be great. The Onyx, they were really quiet. I really love the silent hubs, but when it comes time to do maintenance, like it's more of a to-do, whereas these I can do at home in 15 minutes legitimately. And yeah, and I do like the sound of the buzz. Again, the BMX background. Who doesn't love a nice buzzy hub? And on top of that, if you want your hub to be quiet, you can actually put quite a bit of grease into that freewheel body, and it quiets it down a ton. Like I remember, I think Dave was running these hubs and he had just greased them up, and I was like, oh, like what hub are you running? And I can't hear it. And he's like, oh, it's the Hydras. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I might try that too. I might let them get loud, and if they're too loud in the video, maybe I'll try greasing them up, get them nice and quiet. Regardless, these are good hubs. I really like them. You can get them from Noble when you buy a wheel set, and they have tons of colors like shiny purple. Yeah, sweet. For tires, I have Maxxis Assegai in the max grip configuration in the double down. Now, I'm not actually a huge fan of the double down because I don't need it. I usually run XO, sometimes XO Plus tires, but yeah, XO tires even have been totally fine for me. You know, I'm cursing myself, I realize, by just saying this out loud. But yeah, I can usually run XO tires. I don't really get flats very often. I maybe get like one a year. And the extra weight of the double down is just, it's unnecessary for me, at least riding here. I have gotten flats in other places, but riding on the shore, for some reason, I can get away with XO tires. So I'm gonna do that after, but the bike came with double down max grip tires, and the Assegais, I do love these tires. They are great, especially in the winter here where it gets really wet and slippery. But yeah, Maxxis Assegai in the max grip front and rear. Slowest rolling tire in the world, but when you need that grip, yeah, it's great. Also for a fork, this is the Zeb Ultimate. It's not the newest one with the hydraulic dampers and all that fancy stuff, but yeah, honestly, I don't know if I could tell the difference between the 22 and the 23 models. But what I have done to this fork is normally it's 170 mil, but I put it up to 180 mil because I don't know, just YOLO, I guess. I'm gonna blame Dale and my friend Rory and also my friend Andrew, I think. Everyone who's running just these big 180 mil forks, I'm like, well, I gotta do that too, right? So we're running a 180 mil Zeb up front, which I think is gonna be pretty sweet, especially with this bike. I think it's gonna be quite the sort of like more free ride Sendy bike, especially with all this travel. No, I mean, we'll see if I do anything, but the bike could. It could theoretically. So that's cool. Okay, up here in the cockpit, we got a few things going on. Running the Deity grips of some sort, black grippy grips. Not sure what the model is, but they're Deity. For brakes, I'm running the XTs again. I've got a 203 rotor up front, and I've got just had to go with 180 mil in the back. I don't think I need like mega stopping power in the rear, especially with the 27.5. So I went with a smaller rotor just for, I don't know, strength and not bending and I guess being lighter, all that stuff. Anyways, 180 mil rotor in the rear. Running the 1-Up carbon bars in a 20 mil rise. I've got the Trail 1 stem. It's the Rockville stem in the 30 mil. I want to say it's a 30 mil, the shortest one that they do. You know, again, BMX background, love a short stem. And a lot of you saw this, I did this on my last bike, and you're probably wondering why I've done it again here. But my cables are super long, and my front hose goes through the steer tube. And that is so, well, here, I'll just put a clip from last year when I was doing stuff. Okay, yeah, it's so I can spin the bars around. I'm hoping, so the Chilcotin was pretty hard, like the 29er is hard to do bar spins on, but the 27.5, just the little bit smaller wheels, it's actually quite a bit easier to do bar spins. I'd like to actually get some cool bar spin clips this year, and I think this bike is gonna do that really well. You'll also see here that I don't have another cable here for my dropper. Decided to go with the Axis dropper, but we'll get to that in a second. And a lot of people, sometimes they ask how I'm running my front cable through here. It just is a 1-Up, I don't know, what do you call this? It's the steer tube tool thing, but I didn't buy the tool. I just bought the steer tube thing. You thread it through here. I put some of that ride wrap chainstay protector kind of on the inside here so my cable hopefully doesn't rattle too much and it doesn't like rub itself to death. But anyways, that's all I did. And then you just run the cable through and you zip it around the backside of the fork here and good to go. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm running the Axis dropper. This is the 170 mil version, the longest version they make. I would maybe get a longer one, but I mentioned this in my Chilcotin video. If you go too much drop and the seat's too low down, it actually gets harder to do things like no-handers because the seat is hard to pinch. So I actually find 170 mil is a good balance for me. It totally gets out of the way, but I can still pinch it for no-handers and hopefully bar spins. And so far, I've been using the Axis for, well, like, I haven't really used it that much, but just playing around on it, and it feels great. I'm actually super impressed with how this dropper feels. It's way too expensive, but again, just cool bike stuff is just so easily sold to me. I don't know if I should announce that out there, the ads that are about to come my way, but yeah, cool bikes. This is cool, I like it. You know, electronics, very neat. I like it, but too expensive. Down here for my shock, this is the Super Deluxe coil. I'm a pretty big fan of the RockShox stuff. It has a more plush feeling, I think, and the maintenance, again, the theme of low maintenance, it's big with me. The coil especially, I remember the shop saying, Kinetic Cycles, best shop around, that I don't know if they have ever gotten a coil back, or specifically a Super Deluxe coil to warranty. At least the mechanic I was talking to at the time, she was like, yeah, like I warranty a bunch of other coils and shocks all the time, but she thinks she hasn't actually seen a deluxe coil to come in for warranty, which I think is a pretty good sign. And honestly, I've also never had an issue with one. I've ran them quite a bit now. So yeah, going with the Super Deluxe coil again, yeah, it's a good shock, especially when you pair it with the 4x linkage that was designed by Noel. Very nice, very plush. All right, moving to the rear, I probably forgot to mention it when I was talking about the cockpit stuff, but I'm also running an XT drivetrain, that's an XT derailleur and an XT cassette. I'm a bigger fan of the Shimano drivetrains for two reasons. I think the shifting is better, and the clutch is quite a bit tighter, making the bike way quieter. With the SRAM stuff, I tend to get like a ton of derailleur slap, and they just like, I don't know, it's just too loose. If the clutch was tighter on the GX stuff, I would be a big fan of it. But for now, Shimano for me, and yeah, I like it. Then again, we got the Hydra hub in shiny metallic purple, available with your Noble wheel sets. And we got the XT brake in the rear here. Also doing a quick release, actually quick release front and rear, if anyone was wondering. I was pretty anti quick release, but now that I've had it on both of my last 2 bikes, I'm actually pretty sold on the quick release. I take my wheels on and off more often than I was expecting. And what I think is the last thing here that I'm going to mention is I'm running the 5-dev cranks and pedals. Again, I'm totally sold on things that look cool, and I think 5-dev is making the best looking cranks and pedals. And you know what, that's enough to sell me. On top of that, they're really light. I think these pedals, I'm not sure exactly how light they are off the top of my head, but I remember weighing them a bunch of other different pedals, and yeah, they are crazy light. And I ran them on my bikes last year. Gonna run them again. They come in tons of cool colors, and yeah, they look great. The other thing about the 5-dev cranks, and I mentioned this in my Chilcotin video, so I'm running the 165 mil cranks. And I like a shorter crank now. I'm pretty sold on shorter cranks. They go down to like 150 mil crank, which is, that might be too short, but you know what? You never know. I might try them eventually. But more specifically, the thing about the 5-dev cranks is the portion of the crank that sticks out sort of past where you insert the pedal is so minimal compared to other short cranks. Like you can get 165 mil cranks from other brands, but then the bit past the pedal insert is still like another like 2 centimeters, whereas this only sticks out like a few millimeters, maybe 5, 6. Yeah, there's no way that's a centimeter. At most, like in the millimeter range. And I think that actually helps alone to prevent pedal strikes. And so yeah, 165 mil cranks. Oh yeah, I am running a 1-up 32 chainring in the front. The climbs are really steep here. I know all these bikes come with like 32 and 34 chain rings, but no, I'm not about that. I'm all about that sit and just spin in the world's lightest gear. Yeah, I'll get to the top eventually, especially with my max grip guys. I'll get there, but you know what? Hopefully going down, we're about the same speed, hopefully. All right, that's my bike for 2023. I think I mentioned everything, but if I missed something, or if you have any questions about the bike, leave them down in the comments. In my next video, I'm gonna go and ride this thing, and I'm really stoked to do that. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.